At breaking news, that deadly standoff inside of a Bay Area bank, a gunman killing 5 people at a SunTrust on US 27 in Sebring.
These 3 close friends were killed side by side in the Florida bank massacre. This was the moment the SWAT team rammed into the front door of the SunTrust Bank in Sebring, Florida.
This is insane.
When cops moved in, they found the 4 bank employees and 1 female customer on the floor, all dead. Jessica Montague was a mother of 5. She was about to celebrate her wedding anniversary next week. Marisol Lopez, aged 55, was married with 2 children and loved to travel with her husband. 54-year-old bank teller Deborah Cook, seen here with her husband, was also among the 5 women killed. Xaver is said to be obsessed with death. When he was arrested, he was wearing a T-shirt emblazoned with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. He spent time in a mental institution when he was a teenager.
The police in Florida County discovered a disturbing note written by Zephen Xaver just 13 days before committing one of the most chilling crimes in Sebring's history. In the note, Zephen revealed his dark thoughts. "My heartbeat quickens as I crave blood and destruction. I feed off chaos, chaos that makes me feel whole, but it hurts to try to fit into a puzzle where I don't belong. I can't deny what I love, and what I love is seeing death and destruction. Who knows what it feels like?" Zephen, a young man trapped in a dangerous obsession with death, constantly harbored these dark thoughts in his mind. The intensity of his desires led him to purchase a gun and ammunition. He then sent a chilling message to a deceased friend, promising that they would soon reunite in hell. He did the same with his ex-girlfriend, Imani Davis, assuring her that he would kill many people before taking his own life. Finally, the bloodlust that consumed him found its terrible satisfaction in a devastating massacre. But who really was Zephen Xaver, and what drove him to commit such a gruesome mass murder? Before we start the video and delve deeper into this strange case, I invite you to give a like and subscribe to my channel to see more content like this. Without further ado, let's begin. Zephen was born on the 2nd of April 1990 in Indiana. His parents, Josh and Misty, were just 23 and 21 years old, and their relationship was marked by ups and downs, with frequent breakups and periods of silence. In 1999, their second child, Zach, was born, and a year later, the marriage finally dissolved. Misty was awarded custody of the children, while Josh, barely a month later, married another woman. Misty, left alone with her 2 young children whom she adored, had to face a life of hard work, with long hours from morning till evening to pay the bills and take care of her kids. She often had to leave them in the care of a nanny or her best friend and neighbor, Michelle. Without support from her own parents, Misty found herself overwhelmed by stress and depression. She worked tirelessly, and when she got home, she had to care for her 2- and 1-year-old children without a moment's rest. Although she tried her best, her mental health began to deteriorate. She confessed to her friend Michelle that she felt she couldn't go on, that she feared for her children's safety, and that she was neglecting them. Michelle advised her to admit herself to a psychiatric hospital, and although she initially hesitated, Misty decided to do so. However, a major problem arose. Who would take care of her children while she was away? Desperate, she turned to her ex-husband Josh, who agreed to look after the children, but with one condition. He wanted full custody from that moment on. Josh took advantage of Misty's vulnerability to secure custody of Zephen and Zach. Despite the fact that the children were her world, Misty had no choice but to agree. Thus, in 2001, Josh obtained full custody. The brothers, now in kindergarten, were known for being shy and reserved children who barely interacted with others. Zephen, in particular, was extremely fearful of strangers and would often hide behind his father's or his stepmother Christy's legs when he saw someone he didn't know. It is important to note that Christy, Josh's new wife, should not be confused with Misty, his biological mother. In 2007, the family seemed to find a moment of happiness with the birth of Hunter, Josh and Christy's first child. Zephen welcomed his new brother with affection, considering him as his second brother despite the 10-year age difference. But the happiness didn't last long. That same year, the family suffered a heavy blow when Zephen's paternal grandfather died in a car accident. The loss of his father plunged Josh into deep depression, worsened by his alcohol consumption. As if that wasn't enough, Josh's banking business failed, leading the family to lose their home and car. Months later, Christy filed for divorce and took Hunter with her, breaking Zephen's heart as he saw Christy as his second mother. During this time, Zephen was experiencing serious problems at school. He wasn't paying attention in class and wasn't completing his assignments. He often got into trouble due to his lack of interest and mischievous behavior. His father, Josh, was repeatedly called by the school, but he seemed to have no time to worry about it. He would occasionally punish Zephen, but never took the time to sit down with him and help with his studies. In an attempt to improve his focus, Josh gave him caffeine pills, but Zephen's grades remained low. In a bid to excel at something, Zephen joined the wrestling team and the football team. Although his younger brother Zach was better on the field, Zephen tried hard to impress his father. However, his sports career was cut short after 2 accidents, one on the wrestling mat and another on the football field, where he suffered a severe blow to the head that knocked him unconscious. A week later, during a fight, Zach hit him in the same spot on the head. Following these incidents, the pediatrician, Dr. Stilson, banned him from playing sports, although no physical damage was detected. When speaking with Zephen, the doctor noticed that the real issue was mental. Zephen harbored a great deal of anger towards his father. In addition to ADHD and depression, the diagnosis was concerning. Zephen suffered from ADHD, major depression, and oppositional defiant disorder. These problems explained his rebellious behavior and lack of interest in school. Additionally, Zephen harbored violent fantasies towards his father and suicidal thoughts. In his initial report, the doctor highlighted the severity of these fantasies. Zephen continued seeing Dr. O'Connor, but the prescribed medications, including Ritalin, didn't seem to have any effect. He remained deeply depressed, and his dark thoughts persisted. Although he was rebellious, he wasn't a violent boy. In 2013, in a moment of desperation, he attempted to unalive himself at his grandmother's house. Just before jumping off the stool, he called for help. Fortunately, he was taken to a medium-security psychiatric hospital. During his stay, Zephen behaved as an exemplary patient. He took his medicine, didn't cause trouble, and helped other patients and the staff. In a conversation with Dr. O'Connor, he confessed, "I feel like I can help these people get out of here. I want to be a therapist too." During his time in the psychiatric unit, Zephen met his first girlfriend, Alex, who was hospitalized for similar issues. Initially, their relationship seemed promising. Everything was going well, and they supported each other. However, after leaving the hospital, everything changed. Zephen confessed to Alex that he still had homicidal fantasies. He wanted to join the army to kill people with an AR-15 and stab them. Alex tried to change the subject, but Zephen kept insisting on talking about his dark desires. Concerned for his mental health and her own safety, Alex decided to distance herself from him. The breakup devastated Zephen, who stopped taking his medication regularly. By June 2014, his depression returned stronger than ever, accompanied by panic attacks, episodes of derealization, and voices telling him to kill Dr. O'Connor. Neither Dr. O'Connor nor Dr. Stilson knew how to handle the situation. At school, Zephen spent most of his time in the nurse's office due to his panic attacks, and he no longer seemed capable of being in class with other students. Eventually, he was expelled after telling the nurse about a dream in which he committed a school massacre, barricading the doors so no one could escape. Although Zephen insisted it was just a dream, the fear in the school community led to his expulsion. The following month, Zephen was readmitted to the psychiatric hospital where he had previously stayed, but this time his behavior had changed dramatically. He was no longer the model patient he once was. Now he was violent, getting into fights with other patients and punching holes in the walls. He was transferred to several more secure facilities, but no treatment seemed to work. Dr. Stilson and O'Connor feared the worst, praying that Zephen wouldn't hurt anyone, while experts still couldn't grasp what was truly happening with him. After leaving the hospital, Zephen returned to live with his father, whom he deeply hated. The arguments were constant, and instead of continuing his education, Zephen decided to start working, but his jobs never lasted long. He couldn't keep a job for more than a month, always ruining opportunities with his erratic behavior and lack of interest. The pattern repeated itself. In school, at work, and in daily life, murderous fantasies were the only constant in Zephen's life. At 18, he decided to enlist in the army, hoping to be sent on a mission where he could kill someone, regardless of whether they were civilian or military. Surprisingly, he passed the initial tests and was sent to a cadet base to continue his training. There, he met Erica Svala, with whom he became friends. Erica remembered him as a young man interested in military activities, but one day, Zephen handed her a note in which he had written, "I want to kill someone." With that note, Zephen externalized the dark fantasies that filled his mind. Erica suggested he speak to the sergeant about it, and for everyone's safety, Zephen was sent back to Indiana to live with his father. In Indiana, Zephen immersed himself in the world of video games, becoming an avid player of Dark Souls, to which he dedicated all his time on the Xbox. In 2017, Erica sent him a message on Facebook to see how he was doing. Zephen responded positively at first, but after a few weeks, he began mentioning his homicidal fantasies again, this time directed at Erica's boyfriend, Andrew. Zephen told her that he wanted to torture and kill him, describing in macabre detail how he would do it, from gouging out his eyes and teeth to hanging him upside down with chains. Horrified, Erica asked him to stop talking about these things, but Zephen wouldn't stop. One day, he confessed that he wanted to go to a bank, get high on drugs, and provoke a confrontation with the police so they would kill him. Concerned by the seriousness of his words, Erica blocked him and went to the police to report the situation. Although she showed them the messages and expressed her concerns, the police took no action beyond notifying their colleagues in Indiana about the incident. Had they acted, perhaps the story might have taken a different course. After losing contact with Erica, Zephen met Imani Davis III on a magic website, who became his second and last girlfriend. They both shared an interest in true crime, often watching documentaries on Netflix or videos on YouTube. However, while Imani focused on understanding the why behind the crimes, Zephen was more interested in the how. The relationship lasted only a few months, although they maintained occasional contact. In May 2018, Zephen, now of legal age and with his legal situation stabilized, left his father Josh and moved to Florida to reunite with his brother Zach and his biological mother Misty, who was now rehabilitated and stable. Zephen wanted a fresh start, and he proved it by finding a job as a prison officer at a medium security jail, 20 kilometers from where his brother lived. His colleagues nicknamed him Harry Potter due to his appearance, but despite the teasing, Zephen was a diligent employee and performed his duties well, which included monitoring the cameras and opening and closing cells at the request of his colleagues. His mother, Misty, was proud of him. Zephen had become an exemplary worker who, with his salary, managed to buy a car and cover his own expenses. However, the murderous fantasies never left him. Although he tried to keep them under control, in December 2018, after losing a close friend named Darren, who died of a drug overdose, those dark thoughts returned more intensely than ever. Darren, like Zephen, had been battling deep depression, which only fueled Zephen's dark fantasies even more. On 7th of January 2019, Zephen Xaver went to the SunTrust Bank in Sebring to deposit the money he had earned from his job. The next day, he returned to the bank to withdraw $300, which he planned to use to purchase his first firearm, a handgun. On 8th of January, he went to the local armory, a well-known place, and finally managed to buy it. 2 days later, he wrote the disturbing note on his phone that we mentioned in the video intro. On 11th of January, he returned to the same shop to buy more ammunition and some magazines. He then sent a photo to his brother Zach, proudly showing off his purchase and saying, "Look how beautiful my Springfield baby is." Zach had no idea of his brother's dark intentions. On 16th of January, Zephen turned 21 and began frequenting online sites where criminal thoughts and murders were discussed. He participated in conversations, asking questions about typical crime cases and mass shootings, including what happened to the family of a mass murderer if the police killed him, and whether the victims' families received any compensation. Not getting clear answers, he left the site. On 22nd January, the night before the murders, Zephen sent a message to his friend Darren, who had died of an overdose in December 2018, writing, "I know I'll see you in hell tomorrow, and I won't be welcomed for what I've done. I miss you, idiot. I'll kick your ass when I see you there." At 8:48 a.m. on 23rd January 2019, Zephen sent some messages to his ex-girlfriend Imani Davis, with whom he hadn't spoken in a long time. In them, he confessed that he planned to kill several people and then take his own life. His words were chilling. "I want to know what it feels like to kill. Today I die, but I promise I'll take many people with me. Watch the news in Sebring, Florida." Imani, who was still in secondary school, informed her teachers during the break and then contacted the police, but by then, It was too late. Zephen had already entered the SunTrust Bank, ready to commit a massacre. The bank's cameras captured him entering on the morning of 23rd of January. There was no metal detector at the entrance. He approached the cashier's desk and upon reaching it, pulled out his gun and pointed it at the face of the cashier, Marisol Lopez, ordering her to lock the bank's doors. Marisol, thinking it was a robbery or a hostage situation, tried to stay calm. Although she didn't fully understand what he wanted, she agreed to lock the doors. With the gun still pointed at Marisol, Zephen raised his voice and ordered everyone present to gather in the lobby. That morning, 5 women were in the branch. Marisol Lopez, aged 55, Deborah Cook, aged 54, Jessica Monton, aged 31, Anna Pignon Williams, aged 37, and Cynthia Watson, aged 45. The first 4 worked at the bank, while Cynthia had come to deposit a check, finding herself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Zephen ordered the 5 women to lie face down in a row. Once they were in that position, the 21-year-old began shooting them in the head, starting from the right and moving to the left.
Xaver entered the bank, forced all 5 women to the ground, and shot each of
Zephen Xaver's home, located just 6 miles from SunTrust Bank, where police say he gunned down at least 5 people.
It's impossible to imagine the fear and terror these women felt in those moments. No one deserves such an end. Zephen shot each of them more than once to ensure they were dead. He then called 911 and with chilling calm informed the operator that he had killed 5 people, firing again before hanging up after a lengthy standoff with the police and a daring arrest.
This is a huge tragedy in this small little town.
Probably the worst thing they could possibly imagine. People have fallen to their knees. They've been calling family members, wiping away tears, law enforcement embracing them. A lot of people giving condolences online, SunTrust sending condolences. They've been coming in and out of this building all day today, pretty much since this story broke earlier. Now we know that they are bringing food in. We know that law enforcement are making next of kin notifications, so they have not released any names of the 5 victims that were shot and killed.
That same night, Zephen Xaver was charged with 5 counts of premeditated murder.
Zephen Allen Xaver knowingly and intentionally took the lives of 5 of our fellow community members, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, and our co-workers.
During the interrogation, he confessed his crimes in detail to the detectives, claiming that the voices in his head had driven him to act.
Girlfriend Amani Davis says Xaver had many personalities.
There's Zephen, then there's Kitty, then there's Mark, and then there's like It, which is like the really dark one. I've never communicated with that one.
However, on 22nd February 2019 in court, he pleaded not guilty to all charges. The prosecutor immediately sought the death penalty, describing Zephen's actions as violent, destructive, and senseless. The residents of Sebring shared the same sentiment. If ever there was a case deserving of the maximum penalty, this was it. After 4 years in the Highland County Jail under maximum security, Zephen changed his strategy. He wrote a brief letter to the judge expressing his desire to plead guilty to the crimes he was accused of. The judge accepted his plea, and Zephen in the courtroom confessed, "Yes, it was me. Yes, I premeditated the act. And yes, I'm sorry." All said without showing any emotion. Despite his confession, the prosecutor remained determined to pursue the death penalty. The trial to determine Zephen's sentence began on 10th of June 2024. The prosecution presented him to the jury as a cold, calculating killer who had acted purely for fun, relishing in death and destruction. They showed the text messages sent to his ex-girlfriend and the notes on his phone, which left no doubt about his intentions. The claims about the voices in his head were only mentioned by Zephen before committing the crime, and seemed more like an excuse than a reality. In his messages to Amani, Erica, and Darren, he always spoke in the first person. "I want to kill. I want to bring skulls home. I want to torture your boyfriend, Erica." It was all about him. Dr. Greg Richards, a psychologist with 20 years of experience, testified in court, stating that upon watching the bank videos from the 23rd of January, Zephen did not appear to be suffering from a psychotic episode. On the contrary, he acted with extreme calm and coldness. The defense, in an attempt to save their client, highlighted his tragic childhood, marked by numerous tragedies, and his mental disorders. They called Drs. Stilson and O'Connor, who had treated Zephen in the past, to testify. Additionally, 2 other doctors testified that a tumor had been detected in the left hemisphere of Zephen's brain, the area responsible for processing speech and information. They argued that it was highly likely this tumor had influenced Zephen's actions on that day in the bank. The truth is that Zephen has brain cancer. To what extent did this tumor influence his actions? It is impossible to determine with certainty. Now, the decision lies in the hands of the jury, who must deliberate on the sentence. In Florida, 12 unanimous votes in favor of the death penalty are required for it to be applied. No sentence will bring back the mothers, sisters, friends, and cousins to their loved ones who still mourn their loss.
We love that it's finally over and done with. We would much rather have my mom back.
Cynthia Garza says she's still navigating through her mother's death. Anna Pignon Williams from Okeechobee was working inside the SunTrust Bank the day Zephen Xaver opened fire, killing her and 4 others.
The trial has revealed the wonderful lives these people led, lives that were taken too soon for the worst of reasons. Zephen killed them without even knowing them, simply for the pleasure of it. The SunTrust Bank branch in Midtown no longer exists. It was demolished after the crime, and in its place, a small park has been built with a plaque bearing the names of the 5 victims: Marisol Lopez, Deborah Cook, Jessica Montague, Anna Pignon Williams, and Cynthia Watson. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell so YouTube can let you know when we upload a new video. See you next time.